These are...
No fear. No political correctness. No wokeism. You're listening to Underground USA.
A quick reminder to vote tomorrow. It is Election Day, and it is important. There can't be a red wave or any other kind of wave unless you are the wave. So make sure you get to the polls and make sure you exercise your right to vote. On another note, disturbing stories are coming out of Arizona that should be noted. You've got people sending envelopes full of what they want people to believe is anthrax to Kari Lake's campaign office. There have been reports of slashed tires for operatives on Kari Lake's campaign, even putting screws into tires so as to cause blowouts on the highway when it's moving. These acts have to be condemned by the left. They need to be condemned by the left. If they can call parents domestic terrorists for showing up at school board meetings to object to critical race theory and gender politics being taught to grade school children, then they must come out and condemn these acts as acts of domestic terrorism, because they're targeting people with terrorism. They're terrorizing these people. So, you want to talk about what they believe free and fair elections are? This is how they execute free and fair elections. Democrats, rank and file, have to condemn this and ferret these extremists out of their party. On another note, we already have Stacey Abrams saying that the election is going to be stolen if she doesn't win. I have never seen a more petulant child elevated to such a station as someone who is able to run for governor of a state in the United States. If the people of Georgia don't sideline this clown for good this time, I don't know what to say about you. Right now, this morning's segment on the Captain's America Third Watch with Matt Bruce.
Joining us tonight from the panhandle of Florida, where he's probably going to be out of the mix of everything that may or may not be coming our way, it's Frank Salvato, the Professor, Commander-in-Chief, Chief Cook and Bottle Washer for UndergroundUSA.com.
Mr. Captain.
How do you like that? Chief Cook and Bottle Washer.
Oh, you threw the kitchen sink at me, man.
Yeah, but have you heard that before? I remember the last time I heard that was in the firehouse.
No, I've heard it before. It's a badge of honor.
Yep, you got it. Well, let's see. Kevin McCarthy, the House GOP leader, and the former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich, took a little road trip, and they went out and talked about their commitment to America. Now, that sounds very familiar to something else we heard back in 1994 called the Contract with America. Now, it's not exactly the same, but it's close. What have you heard?
It's meant to be a devotion to service to the people.
Yep.
Now, of course, it's not going to be word from the Contract for America, because Democrats would have immediately started to criticize it, even though everything that was in the Contract was good for America. Mm-hmm. If they just decided to redo that, it would be a good thing as well. But this one is titrated to the times. So getting away from forced ideological social engineering and recommitting yourself to the Constitution and the service of the people, it's not a bad thing.
No, and McCarthy, who would become the next speaker if Republicans win the chamber, criticized Democratic policies around a number of issues: inflation, energy, the border, the fentanyl crisis, the Democrats' energy policies, and uncontrolled spending. McCarthy also added they're making energy prices skyrocket even higher. They are, because Joe Biden over the weekend said, "I don't want to drill anywhere."
Yeah, Joe Biden seems to forget that now that he's president, he doesn't just get to speak to the audience that's right in front of him. Mm-hmm. He's speaking to the nation every time he opens his mouth. So, like before when he was on the campaign trail, he could speak out of one side of his mouth to one group of people and then out of the other side of his mouth to another group of people.
Yep.
That doesn't fly anymore.
Nope.
So when you're talking to a bunch of green zealots and you say we're not going to drill, that goes across the board. You can't go down to Texas and say, well, we'll do all of the above then, because people go, well, that's not what was covered. You said no drilling.
Right. Well, of course.
So he's really stepping in it with being out on the trail.
Sure.
And I don't know why the Democrats haven't said, Mr. President, please go back to the Oval Office.
Yeah. And, of course, the commitment to America details actions that the Republicans would take if they win control of the House. The agenda features policies to address access to late-term abortions over other policy options, reducing crime, support the energy industry, curb inflation, secure the U.S.-Mexican border, and minimize illegal immigration, amongst other objectives that they have. And they've got a bunch of them because the plan is reminiscent of the contract with America when you start to look at it, although it's not identical.
Yeah, I'm critical of one of the things on there. It seems that they're dismissing a recent decision by the Supreme Court as if it's malleable. It's not. The abortion thing, even though I believe that late-term abortions are reprehensible, the Supreme Court has spoken. That social issue belongs to the states.
Yep.
You know, they really just should have focused on the core problems that we have right now. Inflation is number one.
Yep. Well, hold that thought, because when we come back, who knows, we might talk about inflation. Because gasoline is not going down.
This is Frank Salvato from Underground USA, and you're listening to a fellow brother of the badge, Matt Bruce, on the Captain's America Third Watch.
American Express, investigated by the U.S. government, caught processing a Soviet-era politician's dirty money, paid hundreds of millions in fines for deceiving customers. Rather than clean up their act, American Express has gone woke. Employees say people are promoted and told to offer lower premiums based on race. Amex administered critical race theory training that told employees capitalism is racist. American Express. Serve your customers, not woke politicians. Visit unamericanexpress.com.
This message was paid for by Consumers Research, a 501c3 educational advocacy group. To learn more, log on to consumersresearch.org.
News, insight, passion. AM 930, The Answer.
All right, back to Frank Salvato, undergroundusa.com. Thank you, Mr. Frank.
Mr. Captain.
You do a great job, by the way, over there at undergroundusa.com. I've sent some people over there, and one guy texted me back, and he says, my God, this is like looking at a newspaper. I said, imagine that.
Well, we try.
Yep.
We try. It's been a labor of love for over 25 years. So,
well, we go back to the New Media Journal, you and I, and
yep.
It was good when it was then, and it's gotten better since.
No, technology helps us expand and do different things. Before you had to know a whole bunch of things behind the scenes that didn't apply to actually bringing the truth. And now it's just a little bit easier with technology advancements.
Now,
so, you get to concentrate on the issue at hand.
Now, the issue we have at hand now is Kari Lake running for governor in Arizona, and she apparently has a slight lead out there, which is great. I hope she wins. She's a much better candidate than that other one, Kathy Hobbs. But yesterday, a suspicious package containing white powder was sent to her Phoenix office, and apparently one of her secretaries or something got a dose of that and had to go to the hospital. I don't know what her condition is or anything like that, but she definitely had to be checked out. Now, this goes back to those days a few years back where we had this going on all over the countryside because of some idiot that was trying to protest the government. And I certainly hope that's not the same sort of scenario going on, but who knows?
Oh, absolutely it is. That's the anthrax scare that happened after 9/11, and with the way the response, the person was protesting the government. This is an obvious and overt manipulation of the process of running for office. That's the only motive that there could be here. sending something to a campaign office. Mm-hmm. So when the left talks about free and fair elections, this is their version of a free and fair election. Let's close down a campaign office by sending an envelope with white powder in it, wasting funds and man hours and availability for first responders, scaring the hell out of people in an office to think that they might die now. Mm-hmm. That's what a free and fair election looks like. That's what running on the merits looks like. No, it looks like somebody trying to manipulate the process.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about domestic terrorism. That's domestic terrorism. Not using free speech and hearing words that you don't like. Mm-hmm. Not protesting at school board meetings. That's not domestic terrorism. Sending white powder in the mail to a campaign office for a candidate that you are opposing, that's domestic terrorism.
Yep, you're right. Okay, let's go to the telephone line. We've got Mel in Saratoga Springs. Mel, what's on your mind?
Yeah, all the issues that you're speaking about, I'm so interested in because, this one you're talking about now, the scumbags on the left of the Democrat Party and those who support the Democrat Party, they would lower themselves, lower than, whale excrement to do something like this because they can't handle defeat. They know what's coming. They just can't handle it. But they have to realize we are not soy boy, man bun wearing, tight jean, this and that. We are Americans. We are patriots, and they better watch their ass because we're not going to take it. We're not going to take their BS. They know it's coming after Tuesday. They're going to be sent into the dustbin of history, and we're just not taking it anymore. All this nonsense, domestic terrorism and this and that, and attacking mothers and parents who want to go to school board meetings and see that their children are being taught reading, writing, and arithmetic and nothing else. Anything else besides that will be handled at home, at the dinner table, and when the age is right for them, when they start getting curious about this, that, and the other, it's up to the parents to explain what they're going through and what they have to face in life. Not these pedophiles that we call teachers in school today. No, we're not taking it anymore. Okay. We've had it up to our freaking earlobes. Thank you.
All right. Obviously, Mel is a little upset there. What do you think, Frank?
No, he's got a right to be. We've gone so far off the reservation.
Yeah, we have.
We've gone so far into extremist land that it's going to take, and this is why we have to play smart politics moving forward. We have to remain cohesive as a political demographic. Mm-hmm. We can't splinter. We must remain cohesive. Because it's going to take longer than 4 or 8 years to correct what has been done. We're going to need at least 12. Mm-hmm. At least 12 to get back to where we were before. That's the problem with electing people who don't have fidelity to the Constitution and want to social engineer to multiple terms in office. The damage that they can do in 4 years and 8 years, it takes twice as long to get back to where that began because of how they destroy things. Mm-hmm. And when you talk, he's right about education. What I do have to caution about, I do believe we're going to win, and we're going to win big.
Yep.
It's because I'm hearing people talk about this has got to end.
Yep.
But the left is not going to just go away. They're going to set fire to the cities again.
Mm-hmm. They are.
All of the protests and the violence, the way that they did it, leading up to the 2020 election, is going to happen all over again because just like that person who sent the white powder, they believe winning at any cost is a noble pursuit. If they don't win elections, then they just burn stuff.
Well, here's what we need to do. Here's what we need to do. We need to, once we get to Congress, the House of Representatives and the Senate, I believe we'll get both. I'm not going to predict numbers yet. I'll do that tomorrow when I get a better picture. But I do believe that we are going to have to get a new Attorney General, clean house in the Department of Justice, clean house in the FBI at the leadership end of it, And maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to go after these people, prosecute them, and lock them up.
Well, we have to have fidelity to the Constitution in that, too. If the crime is not a federal crime, you can't keep sending federal law enforcement in.
Right.
We don't have a centralized government in the United States. We have a federal government that takes care of the union and the cracks that fall between the states. We need to empower the states to take action.
Would you like to stick around for another segment?
You bet.
All right, hold on. All right, folks, I'm coming back with more. Frank Salato, UndergroundUSA.com. Don't go anywhere. I'll be back.
You're in the right spot for tomorrow's news tonight and breaking news as it happens with retired New York Fire Rescue Captain and World Trade Center attack survivor Matt Bruce, right here on the Captain's America Third Watch.
Did you know that Yaupon is the only tea plant indigenous to the United States? Hi, I'm CJ, the owner of Emerald Coast Tea Company. We have a line of Yaupon teas and Yaupon tea blends that will open your eyes to tea that is literally made in the USA. Check out our entire line of teas at www.emeraldcoastteacompany.com. Honey, this ain't your mama's tea.
I started to see Christmas ads yesterday. Gee whiz. What do you think, Frank?
Yeah, you got to let the turkey dance before the fat man gets to come into town.
Yeah.
You go in the stores and they're taking down the Halloween things and putting up the Christmas things. Thanksgiving is a uniquely American holiday.
Yep.
It's something that we should be looking forward to and executing the thanks for which it was created. So is that a commentary on society? Are we not thankful for what we have anymore? Perhaps that's the problem.
Boy, it could be. It could be, because I couldn't believe it when I saw it. But anyway, it is what it is. You talked about coal. We kind of talked about that briefly. But Joe Manchin did go after Biden big time and said that Biden's coal comments are divorced from reality. Well, yeah, they are.
Joe Biden wouldn't know reality if it bit him in the behind.
That's true, too.
He's just not there anymore. We keep talking about this off the air.
Yep.
And in any other situation, this would be considered elder abuse. Yet the Democrats just keep trotting this guy out. He's in cognitive decline. He doesn't know where he is half the time, and they're making him perform like a trained monkey. It's abusive, and the people who are handling him, boy, like I said, in any other situation, they would be held accountable for this and actionable. But they are the powers that be right now. So I guess abusing elderly people who don't know where they are is okay. As far as Manchin's, he's absolutely right. We've got clean coal technology working at the United States.
Yep.
They want to paint the picture that a coal plant is billowing this dark, sooty stuff. It covers the neighborhood that it's in. The people have black faces like they're coming out of the coal mines. That's not the truth. That's not anywhere near what reality is. So in a time when fuel prices are just skyrocketing and people are wondering whether they're going to be able to heat their homes in the winter, and whole states like California are going electric cars by 2035, but don't forget, we have rolling blackouts, so half the time you won't be able to charge your car. We have to have an all-of-the-above policy. Until the green energy is perfected, and it's not. Mm-hmm. It's just not. We have to have an all-of-the-above policy. Let the marketplace dictate which technology is better and which ones we don't need anymore, not ideology. Mm-hmm. If green energy becomes so fantastic and cost-effective that it puts the oil companies out of business or makes them change what their focus is, then so be it. Mm-hmm. But you can't do that by political caveat, and you can't force it through government. That's fascism.
Well, I wonder what you call a group of people on the Democratic side of the aisle who are already looking beyond this election coming up tomorrow and starting to throw out names of candidates to take the place of Joe Biden. Now, Barack Obama's name was mentioned as heavily promoting the Pennsylvania Attorney General running for governor, whose name is Josh Shapiro.
Well, Barack Obama didn't come up the traditional way. One year he was a nobody from Chicago. The next year he was in the Senate, and the next time around he was nominee for president of the United States. Mm-hmm. He did not come up traditionally. He was installed.
Yep.
He was selected, groomed, created, and installed. This was a full-blown Madison Avenue marketing campaign that the puppet masters of the progressive wing of the Democrat Party manufactured to install in the presidency, to move a radical agenda, a divisive radical agenda forward in the United States, meant to deliver our country as a cash cow to the World Economic Forum and the globalist cabal. Mm-hmm. And that sounds all conspiratorial, but read what they have in mind for the Great Reset, and you'll understand it's not a conspiracy theory. It's just a conspiracy, and it's happening. So if Barack Obama's pushing Shapiro in Pennsylvania, it's because they have picked the next person who they want installed. And mark my words, if he runs for president of the United States, maybe not next time around, but the time after that, if you criticize him, the left is going to scream anti-Semitism like you've never heard them scream before.
Sure.
That's just what they're going to do. They screamed racism last time. They will scream anti-Semitism this time. Mm-hmm. Mark my words. So we've got to start dismantling this guy's policies to show the people for a prolonged period of time why his policies are damaging to America, damaging to our financial stability, to our health stability, to the stability of freedom. Mm-hmm. We do that, they can't repackage him and market him because the damage will already been done. Republicans, that's called being proactive in politics.
Yep. Well, he's been the Pennsylvania Attorney General since 2017. He is, of course, a member of the Democratic Party, and he's now the nominee in the 2022 Pennsylvania gubernatorial election. So he's on the Democratic side running for governor against, I believe his name is Mastriano, the Republican.
So what we have to do, and this is an easy way to serve some cold bird to Mr. Obama at the end of this month at Thanksgiving, defeat the guy now. Defeat him. If he loses the election, it's much harder to call him the rising star in any political party. He suffers the fate of Stacey Abrams. Mm-hmm. He can either sit there and whine because he was cheated, or write a book, or maybe go on Star Trek and be the president of the universe or whatever that was.
Oh yeah.
But you want to pull this guy out of the running, defeat him, and that's why tomorrow is the day. Mm-hmm. You must show up to the polls to be the red wave. Red wave just isn't something somebody throws out there and says, "Oh, we believe that we're going to have great victories tomorrow, so there's going to be a red wave." You are the red wave, and that means you have to crash on the shore. Your shore is casting your ballot, and there's no excuses. Get to the polls. If you haven't voted already, and I'm kind of against 7 million day early voting. It just gives people more opportunity to tamper with the ballots, and I don't believe any ballots should be manipulated after Election Day. Mm. That should be counting, and that's it. But you've got to get to the polls. You've got to vote. It's your duty to the country. It's the obligation that you have for all the people who sacrificed their lives to protect that right. You owe it to them. So no excuses. Make the time. Go vote.
You won't get me arguing with you. And by the way, whoops, I was going to say, go ahead.
When we've got low voter turnout, we should be ashamed of ourselves.
Yeah, the central part of Florida right now has a low voter turnout, or early voting. Don't ask me why that is. I don't know.
Let's go. Let's go. Get to the polls.
All right, Frank, I will talk to you on Friday, although you and I will be having a special conversation tomorrow night. I'll be letting you know what time to call and all that good stuff.
Stay low, my friend.
All right, thank you. Frank Salvato, undergroundusa.com, and he'll be part of our team tomorrow night talking about political stuff. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast. Give it a rating if your platform lets you. Leave a comment. You can always comment directly to us at contact@undergroundusa.com. Go over to undergroundusa.com and sign up for our Substack. It comes straight to you around the censors, which is a good thing. My name is Frank Salvato. You're listening to undergroundusa.com. We'll be right back after this.
This podcast is a production of the Compass Point Group.
Hey, this is Judson Carroll with the Southern Appalachian Herbs Podcast. One thing Frank always reminds me to mention is that my books and my podcasts are not limited to my region of the Southern Appalachian Mountains. I'm a master herbalist with a working knowledge of hundreds of herbs that are available all around you no matter where you live and keep your family in optimal health. I'm now offering a free newsletter through Substack. Please find me on Substack at Judson Carroll Master Herbalist or judsoncarroll.com, and I look forward to communicating with you in the future. Thanks.